What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today is a very special day as it marks the return of Love Cup. This meta has not been around for a couple of years now, so I'm very excited to see it come back. It's a unique meta where it bans Pokemon based on color rather than on typing, and because of this, a lot of interesting picks are very viable. If you've been enjoying videos like this on the channel and you want to see more in the future, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. But without further ado, let's get into the battles and see what this team can do. Alright, let's jump right on into game number one. We have our Slowbro in the lead up against an Alomomola. I don't really know why I chose to have an Alomomola on my team. I know I'm going to be having so much trouble saying that name throughout this video, but with that said, a very neutral lead for us. And as you can see, I'm running Sludge Bomb actually on our Slowbro. The main reason for this is it's much better in these neutral matchups, and even though Surf is super effective against a lot of things, it is still kind of a slow charge move, and that stab damage on Sludge Bomb is so powerful. We Say Swap here with our Alomomola, and in comes a Lickitung Pokemon that is I guess, also kind of viable in this meta, right? Lickitung with that Body Slam nerf has kind of seen a little bit less play in the Open Great League, but in this meta, having Lick and Power Whip makes it a lot more neutral in this meta than in certain other ones. In comes the Hydro Pump here. Does our opponent want to shield one of the bulkiest Pokemon in the game, or are they going to let this go? They let it go. Hydro Pump nearly knocking them out, and at this point, Alomomola doing its job. We can farm this down with either Medicham or Slowbro, depending on what we want to do. We know we did not get the catch on all of that energy with their Alomomola. How many times am I going to have to say that word? I don't even know. It's a tongue twister here, so we'll have to see what they're going to come in with. The fish Pokemon comes back in. We throw the Brutal Swing, and this is either going to draw a shield or put them into fast move farm down range. They do up to shield up here, and I'm trying to catch a charge move on our Medicham, likely going to be a Psychic because our Slowbro was close to range where that would be enough. Psychic is going to land, no defense drop, and in the backline, a Shadow Charizard. Another relic of the past here. Our opponent showing a very interesting Pokemon with a Dragon Breath user in this meta, but Shadow Charizard is very squishy. I know Medicham, despite not having a ton of play into this, is able to land an Ice Punch, and because we have that shield advantage, we should still be in a pretty good spot. In comes an Ice Punch. Our opponent opts to shield it up because Shadow Charizard is so squishy, you basically have to shield everything that's going to be thrown against it. Now you're just going to have to shield again, throw the Ice Punch, and hope it's enough to knock out. The Alomomola is very low on health at this point. All I have to do is potentially farm them down or land a Brutal Swing on them, and we should be able to win this game. Ice Punch comes through. Our opponent barely hangs on, but we can reach that Brutal Swing, knock out Alomomola, and take the game here. GG's to our opponent. Very, very spicy team. Honestly, I don't even know if it's spicy in this meta. It's just so unique in this game or in this meta with this special Love Cup here, I guess. So it's going to be very cool to see what's going to come out in the next couple of weeks. In comes an Electrode here, another very unique Pokemon in the entire meta. We have our Slowbro, which is doing super effective poison jab damage against them, and we are going to shield up a Wild Charge. In comes the Wild Charge. As I said, we don't want to end up letting that go because it would do a lot of damage, and they end up coming in with a Licky. Now, on the graphic here, I do have Power Up Punch. I ran Dynamic Punch for a few games, but I think after this game, I did end up swapping over to Power Up Punch just to give ourselves a little bit more of a consistent matchup here. Dynamic Punch is going to be thrown. Our opponent likely is going to shield this up, but because it is such a low energy generation move with counter right now, that is almost all of our energy shielded up, and this is honestly kind of a bad position to be in. A Body Slam is going to do a ton of damage to us. Shadow Ball as well is going to be able to nearly knock us out there, and I can't even farm down, unfortunately. This is why I wanted to swap to Power Up Punch, and that is why in future battles you will see the moveset has changed. Body Slam ends up knocking us out, so our Medicham losing to a normal type Pokemon. We get the full Poison Jab down against the Licky. We have a lot of energy, and in comes a Miltank in the backline. This game would have been so easy if we kept switch advantage, but this is going to be a little awkward with that Hisuian Electrode in the back. We know for a fact that Pokemon resists all of our water type damage with Alomomola, and we also have to worry about Wild Charges and Grass Knots potentially being very problematic later on. Brutal Swing ends up drawing the shield here. Our opponent could have Thunderbolt, but I still want to catch the move because I think right now that our Slowbro is going to be our most useful Pokemon that we have left over this game. In comes a Thunderbolt. We can easily tank that. Alomomola is a very bulky Pokemon. It's kind of around the bulk of Jump Fluff if you kind of know what that bulk stat is like, and because of that we are able to sponge up a lot of super effective damage. Our opponent does launch the Wild Charge here, but I don't think I can farm down. They're very close to a charge move. I'm going to be forced to throw the Brutal Swing now. This will get a knockout, but I'm worried at this point that we're in range where a Thunderbolt and the rollout damage could potentially knock out our Slowbro right before we can reach a Brutal Swing. Our opponent reaches a charge move, a Body Slam we could probably survive, but a Thunderbolt might just be a little too much for our Slowbro to survive. GG's for our opponent. Unfortunately, our Medicham not able to clutch out that endgame. Alright, next matchup here, we're going to see a Skeledirge in the lead. A bit of an awkward lead matchup, but honestly not that bad. We have Brutal Swing for this, and even though our Poison Jabs are resisted, it's still a pretty neutral matchup. Our opponent trying to maybe catch a move on Medicham, but honestly, this is a fantastic matchup to be in. This is where Sludge Bomb as well is very useful. We have a lot more charge move pressure against this. It's going to be able to chip them down a lot more than they otherwise would be. And we have our Alomomola for that Skeletorge in the backline. In comes a charge move. It's likely going to be a Psychic, but that's totally fine if it is. We are able to survive it and go for a Brutal Swing here in just a second. The moveset on Medicham is such a toss-up right now. Do you want to run Counter or Psycho Cut as the fast moves? Psychic, potentially Dynamic Punch, Power Punch, Ice Punch as the charge moves. Basically, every single moveset right now could potentially be viable. I guess I say that, but I don't think you'd ever run Power Punch, Psycho Cut, and like Dynamic Punch together. But most movesets on Medicham are pretty viable here. Our opponent does come back in Skeletorge. They opted to shield it up, and now because of that shield, I'm going to shield myself. I think this would be a crazy bait. They end up baiting us here. I guess not as crazy as I would have thought, and they throw a Shadow Ball likely now. Shadow Ball should probably do about half of our remaining HP here. Our opponent able to get that proper bait off, and they come in with honestly a little bit of an awkward Pokemon here. It's going to be the Slowbro, a Pokemon that our Medicham really does not want to see. Psychic, though, is going to be able to chip them down here, put them into range where maybe double Ice Punch could knock them out, but our counters do nothing. Ice Punch as well, kind of not the most powerful move in the game. I can't Power Up Punch this either, so this is going to be a little bit awkward. Surf does get shielded up, but because of how slow we are to charge moves, I think they might get to a third charge move before we can even get a second Ice Punch off, which means this game might not go in our favor. Ice Punch is going to come through here in just a second, but right now they're at the Brutal Swing. Ice Punch is going to try its best to knock out this Pokemon, but it's not going to come close. We have a second Ice Punch. Our opponent, though, making a catch on Skeletorge. This could be a very interesting endgame now. Even though we don't land that move and they have energy on that Slowbro, I think we can farm down the Skeletorge here, and because of that, we'll have a bit of an energy. We might get some fast moves against this Slowbro, and there's a chance now that we can win this through fast move pressure. If they had Sludge Bomb, this could knock us out, but if this is just a Brutal Swing, it's not going to come close. We can get a couple more waterfalls through here, potentially knock them out with fast move pressure with our Medicham. We come back in, one counter is more than enough to finish off the game. GG's to our opponent. Our next matchup, a Slowbro into Slowbro mirror matchup. This matchup comes down to CMP, who has the higher attack stat here, and my Slowbro is not all that good. It probably does always win CMP, which is kind of helpful because we don't want to worry about the backline matchup with our Medicham lined up into this. Brutal Swing comes through. We do opt to no-shield it, and we're going to throw a Brutal Swing, or we're going to see what ends up coming in, and we instantly swap out to our Medicham. Obviously, this could have Shadow Ball. It's a super effective charge attack against us, but it could also be on Body Slam and Earthquake. They do end up baiting a charge move. That could have been a bait, or maybe they just don't actually end up having it. We'll have to see if they do have Shadow Ball later on. Power Up Punch is going to start ramping up our attack stat, which means that if we can farm this thing all the way down, we'll have some boosted Ice Punches and counters for their backline. I'm going to shield up just in case this is a Shadow Ball. I don't want to get one shot. Earthquake is also a good thing to shield, and we are able to farm them all the way down, have an Ice Punch for the backline, and this Ice Punch will put that Slowbro into range where a Brutal Swing will definitely knock them out. I'm going to kind of wonder right now, though, are they trying to bait out our Medicham? There's a chance there's another normal type in the backline, so I'm going to swap out here to our Slowbro, go for a Brutal Swing, and try to start tripping this thing down. This move is going to knock them out if they don't shield. I have back-to-back. If they don't catch, then they're going to either have to double shield or now let their Slowbro go down. Brutal Swing number 2 coming through. Our opponent is going to shield it up, and now this is a very interesting situation. Are they going to try to catch my next Brutal Swing here? But I think that I will have to shield this. This is the easiest way for me to ever take out this Slowbro. I'm going to shield this up and hope for no catch. They don't catch here, which is fantastic, but what is their third Pokemon? We still have Medicham around. We have our full health Alomomola. We have a little bit of Slowbro if we need it, and it's going to be a Solrock. All right, well, you might expect this to be a fantastic matchup for Alomomola, but this thing might have access to Solar Beam, one of the most damaging Grass-type moves in the game. If that is the case, our Alomomola, despite being bulky, is almost going to get one shot. I'm actually more surprised we hung on to that move, but that is still going to do a massive amount of damage, and because they expended all of their energy here, we can reach a power-up punch with our Medicham, knock out the Solrock, and barely take the win this game. That is a very cool moveset to have on Solrock. Honestly, I have to try out Solrock myself. I can't believe that's a Pokemon I'm considering in this meta. Love Cup is so crazy. Not as crazy as a Wigglytuff lead. Honestly, I think Wigglytuff is a little bit of a hard Pokemon to run in this meta, but they have Wigglytuff and Turtonator. This is a very weird game so far. The reason I don't think Wigglytuff's that good is there's a lot of Talonflames, a lot of Ariados, a lot of Galarian Slowbros, and even just a lot of bulky Pokemon that in general are not the best matchup for it, but our opponent is going to try their best to RPS the fighters, it looks like, with that Pokemon. In comes a Psychic here against this Turtonator. They did throw a Dragon Pulse against us first, so likely the next one will be able to knock us out, but I know it's a very slow-pacing Pokemon, so as long as we can shield up this move, get a full farm down, we should be able to win this matchup. In comes a charge move here. Dragon Pulse would knock us out. Flamethrower, I don't know why you'd ever bait that there. Same energy as Dragon Pulse, basically. It's always going to take 3 Incinerates to that next move. So a bit of a waste of energy, or I guess I could have no-shielded that, right? That's the only thing that could have changed there. We still shielded the flamethrower, so it doesn't really matter. Wigglytuff does come back in. Hydro Pump gonna come through, and it nearly one-shots the Wigglytuff. In the backline, gonna be a Skeledirge, a Pokemon that if we did have Surf, we'd have a bit more charge move pressure into, but because of our massive energy lead, I know I can get to 3 Brutal Swings before they can knock out my Slowbro. This is a bit of a tricky endgame here, or would have been because my Medicham had nowhere to go, but I think my Slowbro could have easily taken out that Skeledirge. Medicham could have dealt with what was left of that Wigglytuff. Next matchup going to be one of the best things you can see here on Medicham, and our opponent safe swapping a Lickitung. This is why I really like to have, or Licky Licky that is, this is why I like to have Medicham in the backline. Having the ability to hard swap a fighting type Pokemon into these rollout users is always fantastic. They do land a Shadow Ball here, a little bit awkward, and they throw yet another charge move. I know though a Body Slam does not knock us out. Maybe I should have boosted our attack already and gone for a Power Up Punch. I'm a little bit new to this Power Up Punch thing, okay? Basically the first time I've ever used it is in this meta today, so I guess Power Up Punch Medicham, something that I'm going to have to get used to a little bit more. Maybe it's actually pretty good in this meta. We win that matchup after no-shielding twice, and we have a boosted Ice Punch to throw against their Medicham. This is probably the best case scenario. We give them only one counter, and we take a good fourth of their health for that one counter of energy. In the backline, going to be a Solrock, a Pokemon that, I mean, I know they could have Solar Beam, but we can just 2-shield through this now. There's no way they're going to knock us out here. Waterfall is going to be doing a little bit too much damage to them. Even if they double bait, they might not even get a third Rock Slide, so it's not even going to matter. Lomamola, there we go, I can't even say the name, so I'm going to try to draw the shield from this Pokemon, and if they do shield this up now, I can just shield the second time, go for a full farm down, and we should be able to have this game. Lomamola, I can't, guys. I just can't anymore. I gotta come up with a new name for this fish. This Pokemon is so hard to pronounce. I can do it once or twice, but when you have to say it like 5 times in a row, Alomamola is one of the trickiest names. I should not have used this Pokemon today. Maybe I shouldn't use it for the rest of the Love Cup, but it is so strong, so bulky. It gets that Psychic off into Medicham here, and I think that we'd survive a Psychic. I think that we will get knocked out by a Dynamic Punch from this range. Dynamic does knock us out, but we still have our Slowbro at full HP. Can go for that full farm down and take them out here. GG's to our opponent. All right, next game, our Slowbro up against a Licky Licky in the lead. A very neutral lead matchup, but I do know they normally have access to either Solar Beam, well, no, not Solar Beam, Earthquake or Shadow Ball are the two common ones. They could throw Solar Beam, but that's not going to be that big of a concern. But now that I've tried to catch the move, I didn't get the catch. It could be a Solar Beam, I guess, against our Alomamola here. Earthquake does come through, does a decent chunk of our health, but honestly, I would much rather have them waste all of their energy against me here than have them swap out and save all that energy. With that said, they did build up a bit more, so they do have an Earthquake in the backline. Medicham comes in to answer us here. I didn't actually see if this was a Psycho Cut or a counter variant. It looks like it's Psycho Cut actually, so no fast food pressure. Hydro Pump going to come through, try to get a guaranteed shield if we can, and see how our opponent wants to play this out. They do opt to shield this move up, and since they're on Psycho Cut, I think I can even reach a Psychic here in just a second before they get the full fast food farm down. We can go for a Psychic, do a combo play potentially with our Slowbro. We have a Brutal Swing loaded, and if we can land this, that is going to snipe down basically 100 energy from this Medicham. Now we have to keep in mind our opponent does have access to a ton of energy on Licky Licky. They opt to let it go. They don't want to double shield here. They have nearly 100 energy now, right? They had an Earthquake, so now they're 2 past an Earthquake, which means if this is a Body Slam bait, they're only 1 away from another Earthquake. A little bit of an awkward situation to be in. We're going to throw this Brutal Swing, try to get a shield from them. This could be a Surf. It could knock them out. We obviously are not running Surf. They don't know that, but they do risk that we went for the bait here, which is a good call by them. So now we have to go for a full farm down if we want any chance to win this game. We double shield just in case our Slowbro is more useful in the backline. It definitely is going to be. It is their opposing Slowbro here. I'm going to try our best to throw them off, overfarm as much as I can with my fast moves, and make sure they don't know when my next Brutal Swing is going to be. There's a chance, if I can reach this next Brutal Swing, we should be able to win this game just by landing this charge move, getting the final shield from them, and then Medicham, even though it's not a great matchup into this Pokemon, can land an Ice Punch before they can knock us out, and we even get a catch here, because why not? Our Alomamola going to try its best to put in as much work this game as it can. Now we can either bring in our Slowbro or bring in our own Medicham here and go for whatever move we need to throw. At this point, Power Punch is all we really need to do. I don't care if they make a catch. I just need to fast move them down. Focus Blast. Oh my goodness. They're running an even spicier moveset than me. That is a crazy move. Honestly, it makes sense with all these Licky Lickies and I guess we haven't seen Miltanks, but there are a lot of Miltanks in this meta too that Focus Blast would hit for super effective damage against. So a very cool moveset by them. Fortunately, our Medicham able to easily survive it. All right, next game going to be a Clefable in the lead, a Pokemon that we have super effective poison type damage into, but they safe swap what is that, a Wormadam, I guess, with Bug Bite, a Pokemon that I don't have a hard answer to. We're going to throw the Brutal Swing to chip him down, and then come in with our Alomamola to try to neutralize the rest of this Pokemon. This is honestly a very interesting pick to see. I haven't seen too many of these in this meta. A lot of Talonflames would just shut this down, especially on the safe swap. With that said, I don't have that on my team, so it is a good play by them to have safe swap this Pokemon. In comes a Bug Buzz, it does a lot of damage, but we are almost at the Hydro Pump, and I would expect our opponent to no-shield this, hoping that I get a little bit greedy and go for a second bait. Hydro Pump is going to end up potentially landing landing against this Wormadam, and what are they going to bring in? Likely that Clefable to farm us down. They can't really farm us down, though. If they're on Fairy Wind, they likely have to throw a charge move, but if they have a Swift, they probably will throw that as well. In comes that Clefable as we thought, and they are throwing a charge move here after overfarming basically to 100 energy. Probably a Swift coming through. If that is the case, it's going to be able to knock us out, and that's only 4 fast moves of energy that they had to use, so they still have a ton of energy on this Clefable. With that said, we can absorb it all with our Slowbro. We get denied with our Poison Jab here, which is a little bit annoying, but we'll have to see what we have in the backline to see if we can still win this game. In the back, no, that's probably the worst thing we could see. All right, next game here, another Lickitung in the lead. Fantastic lead. Honestly, not really. It's a lead matchup here that's very neutral, though. What we can try to do is go for a Sludge Bomb, chip him down with Fast Move and Charge Move Pressure, and if I can ever catch a Body Slam, this is going to be pretty good for me. And it comes to Sludge Bomb, our opponent no shields, hoping for either Brutal Swing or Surf, but that is where having access to Sludge Bomb is so helpful. We catch the Body Slam on a Alomomola, and now we can try our best to farm them all the way down. They are close to back-to-back Body Slams here, so they can likely get to a Power Whip before we can farm them down, but if they do end up throwing the full Charge Move here, I can shield this up, get a farm down before another Charge Move is going to be reached from this Lickitung, and our Alomomola is going to try its best to knock out whatever comes in. It's going to be a Psycho Cup Medicham once again, a Pokemon with a bit more fast move pressure, but nowhere near as much, or a bit more charge move pressure rather, but nowhere near as much fast move pressure, which means that we can go for a Psychic, try our best to chip it down, and be fine with the fact that they no-shielded that. We obviously did not even bait the Hydro Pump there. I just wanted to land the move, because at this point, I can kind of dance around this, go for fast move pressure. We also got a defense drop with that Psychic, a very rare chance, like a 12.5% chance, I think, to get that defense drop, but a very useful thing to have here, because I think I can just shield this up, go for a full Poison Jab down, and then we'll have a ton of energy on Slowbro, and potentially still Alomomola and MEDICHAM in the back. We are going to try to get this farm down. Do we get it? We do just barely get that full farm down. We have a ton of energy here. If Licky comes back in, I can knock them out pretty easily. Oh, they make a catch. That's fantastic on their part, but we still have a Brutal Swing loaded up here. Our opponent is going to have to try their best to dance around our whole team. We have another Brutal Swing loaded in just a second. Our opponent is going to have a decision to make. Do they think that I'm going to be able to get another Brutal Swing, or do they think that I'm going to get farmed down before I reach this move? Our opponent overfarming just a little bit too much here. They are going to try to go for a farm down against us, hoping that an energy lead in the backline is all they need to win this game. Brutal Swing does end up drawing that shield, but now Medicham can come in, easily survive these charge moves. I mean, Sludge Bomb would be the worst case scenario here, but I don't see too many of those running it on the opposing side. They go for a Scald, actually, another move you can have. This thing has a lot of good charge moves, actually, but they go for another Scald. I know at this point Medicham is bulky enough to survive this. We have CMP'd the Ice Punch, so we can knock them out here. Even if we did get knocked out, they're completely energy dry. We have Waterfall damage in the backline if we need it, and this Ice Punch, even still, is enough to close out the backline despite being debuffed here. GG's to our opponent. All right, Seeking in the lead in this next game. A very neutral matchup here. They have super effective charge move pressure, but we resist their fast move pressure, so this matchup is pretty good the longer this goes on for me. With that said, they could Drill Run or Icy Wind us here. I'm going to shield and hope that they do end up going for the big move. It is the Drill Run, which is fantastic, and in comes a Seeking, or a Lickitung rather. They swap out to their Lickitung. We come in with our Medicham. We're going to try our best to go for a Power Up Punch, go for super effective fast move and charge move pressure, and see if we can win this matchup. With that said, we are taking super effective licks from this opponent, which is very uncomfortable. They're doing a lot of damage to us right now, which means that our Medicham is potentially still going to lose the Zero Shield matchup. Power Whip does come through. It does a massive amount of damage. Because they went for Power Whip and Body Slam rather than just double Body Slam, that is, they should probably be able to win the Zero Shield matchup, which is kind of embarrassing. Power Punch just barely not enough to knock them out, and Medicham is going to go down to this Body Slam. With that said, I know energy on our Slowbro is generally very strong, so I'm fine getting a farm down here and giving up switch advantage. What does our opponent have, though, in the backline? A second Lick User. Very interesting team from our opponent. A Heatmore comes in. A Pokemon we obviously have super effective Waterfall damage against in the backline, but it's a fairly squishy Pokemon, I think, here, so I can just go for these charge moves, try to draw shields, and we should be in a pretty good spot. Comes the Sludge Bomb. Our opponent does opt to shield it up, and now we can go for another Sludge Bomb in just a second. Our opponent does try to lick us all the way down, but they don't quite get there. Sludge Bomb is coming through. They should get the KO against them right now, and Seeking in the backline going to have almost no play against what we still have. We have our Slowbro, which can survive these Poison Jabs, get to a Brutal Swing, and even if somehow we do get knocked out here, our own Alomomola in the backline should be able to take out their Water-type Pokemon. With that said, we get the Simul KO, Alomomola not even needing to come in that game. GG's to them. All right, next matchup, a Solrock in the lead. A little bit of a tricky lead matchup here, actually. We do have super effective Brutal Swing damage, but because they resist our Poison Jabs, and since we don't have Surf, we're not able to one-shot them here. We have a lot of neutral pressure into them, but I don't really know what we can do against this in the backline. We're going to try our best, though, to chip them down, see what we can do. They do opt to let that go, actually, which is helpful. They come in with their Licky Licky. We tried to make a catch. It didn't quite work out, but we can still try our best here to land a Hydro Pump against this Licky Licky. They did build up to a potential Solar Beam, I believe, but I'm going to no-shield this attack up. I know there's almost no way they actually have it. Body Slam does come through, and now we are at a Hydro Pump. Another charge move coming through. What is it going to be? Are they going to just straight body slam? No, they throw the Earthquake this time. A lot of raw damage here. Hydro Pump going to come through. Our opponent has a big decision to make. Do they want to shield this up, or are they just going to let their Lickitung go completely down, or Licky Licky, that is? And they do let Licky go down. In comes a final Pokemon, a Galarian Slowbro, one of the scariest Pokemon that we could possibly have seen in the backline. We're going to try our best to go for a Psychic. Maybe we can chip him down here. I would love to see a shield right now, but even if they do, we're still in such an awkward spot. We actually get a defense drop there with that shield as well, which is a little bit helpful, but our Poison Jab's not doing too much damage. I would expect them to shield up our Brutal Swing, and if they do that, then that means that this defense drop is basically meaningless. With that said, that was a CMP, so we will draw the final shield. Our opponent is going to be forced to shield that up, but they have so much energy on that Soul Rock, this game is going to be very uncomfortable. I can try to reach another Brutal Swing. There's a chance that I can survive a Rock Slide here. Psywave, though, is going to add up a very powerful fast move. Our opponent throwing a charge move at us. We can survive Rock Slide, but Psychic actually going to do a little bit more raw damage. That might just end up winning them the game at this point. Psychic able to do that extra damage to knock out my Slowbro before I could get to another charge move, and because of that, they're able to reach yet another Psychic against our Medicham, and this is not looking great. There's no way I can reach 2 charge moves against their Slowbro before they can reach a Brutal Swing. I have to try to make a catch, but our opponent can throw it anytime they want to. I don't go for the catch at the right time. They land the charge move, and unfortunately, that is going to be game over. GG's to them. Very cool team. I really have to try out that Soul Rock at some point this week, but a very, very close one there. All right, next game is going to be a Licky Licky in the lead. One of the most common Pokemon you're going to see in this meta, but as I've said before, they could have access to super effective charge moves such as Shadow Ball or Earthquake. Once again, we try to go for the catch. We don't get it, but our opponent still does throw energy against us because Alomomola, if you don't have a hard counter, can be very tricky to take down. Earthquake is going to be drained here, which means that's a lot of energy completely wasted on our Alomomola, and they come in with a Galarian Slowpoke. Because of this, or Slowbro, man, this meta is so weird. I keep on saying the wrong words. I have actually seen some people run Slowpoke in this meta in previous seasons, so maybe there's a chance we'll see that. But with that said, we go for a Psychic Bait. We end up drawing the shield, and now we're going to try to no-shield this attack. There's a chance we survive Brutal Swing, but I don't think so, honestly, at this point. Oh my goodness, we do survive the attack. That's fantastic. This is the bulk stat of Alomomola coming in clutch here. We can go for the Psychic, try to draw the second shield. We don't quite get it, but we have the combo play ready to go. This Brutal Swing, so we get the knockout if our opponent does opt to let it go. They do shield it up. They want to preserve their energy, and in comes yet another charge move from this Slowpoke. Slowbro. This is a Slowbro. I gotta get that in my head. I've seen Slowkings in this meta too. It's a lot of slow Pokemon, I guess. In comes another Brutal Swing here. Our opponent is gonna try their best to win CMP, but I don't think they did, because our Slowpoke... I'm not even trying anymore, guys. I'm saying the wrong names left and right. Licky Licky comes back in here. They go for an Earthquake, and now we're going to try to shield that up. It was an Earthquake that we shielded up properly in the backline. ABA weak to Medicham? Are you kidding me? In a Medicham meta? That is crazy stuff here. We have Power Up Punch. All we need to do at this point is go for the pup, try our best to counter this down. We have energy on our Slowbro, that's its name, and Medicham as well should be able to just have a ton of energy and a full boost coming out of this matchup. That Licky Licky in the backline is in such a big amount of trouble. We do get that full farm down. We almost have a Power Up Punch loaded. We are able to throw it, although I know this move is not as good as Rage Fist. It is the same move, except much less damage, 35 energy, guaranteed attack boost, but so much less damage there. So it's a little bit sad that for some reason they like having Annihilate be good, but they don't want to make Medicham good. Maybe one day they'll buff Medicham again. A man can dream, right? All right, Talonflame in the lead up against the Slowbro. I'm not going to say that name right either, dude. It's Alomomola, Slowpoke apparently on my team too. Medicham, I am just stumbling over all of my names today. But that said, we are able to counter swap with this Lickitung with our Medicham, and we're going to try to pup our way through this once again. All right, we were able to survive these charges. I believe this trainer just went for double body slam, and as we're going to see here, it's going to do a lot less damage to us because they didn't go for that power up. We're able to win the zero shield matchup. We intentionally took a couple extra licks there to try to make sure our health is as low as possible, to make sure whatever farms us down, likely that Talonflame, is going to get a lot less energy. In comes Talon, as we were expecting, and now we can come back in. We got denied with our waterfall. I would have loved to get a full waterfall for free there, but I guess not. In comes a fly with our Alomomola, and in comes their own Alomomola in the backline. I guess we're going to try to go for the neutral game here, go for these Sludge Bombs and these Poison Jabs. A lot of people don't expect a good charge move to land against them with a Slowbro. They're expecting me to have Surf, so once again, having that Sludge Bomb coverage, very helpful here. And now that we've landed that Sludge Bomb, we can go straight Brutal Swing and potentially start tripping them down. The fact that they no-shielded that attack is actually probably just game over for them, because now our own Alomomola can win this game with Fast Food Pressure. Psychic does come through, our opponent able to try to get as much Fast Food Pressure against us as they can, but because we have so much Fast Food Pressure of our own, all we have to do now is land this charge charge move and then farm everything down. Honestly, I didn't even need to throw this charge move here, but we do throw it anyway. Our opponent lets that go. So at this point, they probably do realize the game is over. They have 2 shields on Talonflame, but I have so much damage with our Alomomola. All I have to do is go and tap my screen at this point. Waterfalls will take them out before they can reach a Brave Bird against us. Even a fly at this point, not going to be enough to knock us out here. Even if it was, we still have our Slowbro in the backline with a lot of poison jab damage that could take out this Talonflame. In comes a fly, we do easily survive that move. Talonflame goes down with 2 shields remaining. Alright, next game here is Slowbro in the lead up against a Wormadam. Okay, well, not a Pokemon we have a lot of play into here. We're going to try our best to use our Alomomola Safe Swap to neutralize this Pokemon, but they're staying in for just a second, and our opponent throws on very good timing. Very hard to time 5 or 4 versus 3 turn moves, especially when the turns are desynced, but they were able to Psybeam? What was that? Okay, I guess we'll take the Psybeam on our Alomomola. Not exactly the move I was expecting. And they come in with a Medicham. If this was another Psycho Cut Medicham, I believe. Yeah, Psycho Cut plus Dynamic Punch here. We're going to go for a Psychic against them. Try to get a bait with a shield here. And if our opponent does end up shielding this, we can reach another charge within just a second. They do shield up that attack. And because I think at this point I can reach a Hydro Pump, I'm going to overfarm to it. We are able to reach the Hydro Pump against the Medicham. At this point, this game is looking a lot better for us right now. Hydro Pump lands. We get switch in shield advantage because of how bulky our Alomomola is. And now we can come in here with our Medicham, and we should be in a very good spot. With that said, we are going to have to watch out for that Psybeam, right? Psybeam, not exactly a strong move, though. It's not going to be super effective. It's just neutral damage, non-stab. One of the most underwhelming moves in the game. Easily able to survive that, and now we can ramp up here with our Power Up Punch. Because of our attack stat, we're able to start ramping up here and start doing so much damage with our counters. Our opponent is staying in. Are they weak to Medicham? They definitely are. That's a Scrafty in the backline. We just have to tap our screen at this point, take out both of these Pokemon with fast move pressure. We also have our Slowbro if we need it. Our opponent at this point, though, realizing the game is over. GG's to them. Very spicy team, I guess, running Psybeam on Wormadam. A very interesting day of the Go Battle League. I was kind of struggling at first to find a team that was working out in this meta. This was just kind of the last 3 sets of the day. I ended up using this team, and it worked out so much better. I was trying out Licky Licky. I was trying out a ton of different things, but this is the team that started to work out quite a bit. I think Slowbro is one of the best Pokemon in this meta. Medicham as well, especially the Power Up Punch, was able to do a lot of stupid things today, and Alomomola putting in so much work as one of the bulkiest Pokemon in the entire game. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a ton, and I'd really appreciate it. Thanks again for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.